Here we are in the third installment of the government class, and already we're getting into some of the most controversial topics. It turns out that in political science, there is one question that really determines your viewpoints on almost everything in politics. And that question is, are humans basically good or basically evil? You got to think about that for a minute. Are you and the people you know basically good or basically evil? This question has been wrestled back and forth between political scientists for a long time, but it tends to really be the dividing line between pretty much everything that we're seeing in the world today these days. You had two philosophers, Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. John Locke believed that people were basically good, and Thomas Hobbes believed that people were basically bad, and we're going to discuss them in the next episode. However, to get to these belief systems, we have to answer this. So, this question determines your views on everything in politics. If we look at these two sides, if we take a look at the good belief system, the ideal that people are basically good, what you're going to find is that because people are basically good, they believe that they can achieve utopia if we just try hard enough. Okay? We can make heaven on earth if we work hard towards it. There's always that possibility and potential because in their belief system, everyone's basically good. And so if we can get them in the right alignment, all that goodness will channel towards our utopia. Second thing they believe is that evil comes from outside of a person. Evil comes from outside of the person. And so if there is crime, poverty, some sort of acting out against society, socially, harmful things that people do, if these bad behaviors happen, it's because something from the outside of the person is causing them to behave in those ways. Okay? So there is some outside force that's making them be evil because they aren't really evil. What these folks favor are group solutions. Because if we're all basically good, then all we need to do is get together, and from that togetherness we can come up with so many more ideals than we could as an individual, and as a group we can then move forward as a society towards our utopia. That's what they're looking for. So, they will most likely favor something involving some form of communism, because the word commune is a group or joint effort where everyone's together working towards a common cause. So that is a communistic type of viewpoint. All right? When you take a look at communism, that is a political viewpoint. Along with that, you will find the idea of socialism. So that is that the group controls the economic functions of that society. And it is the owned or group ownership of whatever economic forces are in that society, usually by the government, and that's who's controlling it. So these folks, you will find, if they have a good belief system, will generally believe in these type of things. And you can see right away. If you believe that people are basically good, then you're going to look at how do we form, our efforts. You're going to determine how we view crime, poverty, issues of oppression, problems in society, addictions. Everything is going to be determined in these ways, and the solution we come up with is going to be a group effort. Therefore, we all together must be banded together under one leadership structure that controls our resources for the purpose of achieving our goals. Okay. Next, you have the people who believe that humans are basically evil. If you believe that humans are basically evil, you can't really trust anyone. They're bound to screw up in some way and at some point. And so there is no utopia that is to be achieved. There are only trade-offs. The famous economist Thomas Sowell, who taught at Stanford for years, is the one who, really put forward that sort of ideal. He says, look, if you want something good over here, you're going to have to give up something good over there. And so you have these trade-offs that happen, and you can never really achieve some sort of utopia. Like if you want clean power for your world, you build a dam, but then you lose salmon. So you want more salmon, but you have to blow up the dam and you lose your hydropower. There's no utopia where you get both of them at the same time. It's one or the other. And so you're trying to mold the world in a way that gives you the best outcome you can get within the resources you have, and then you just have to call it good. That's as good as it gets. All right? These people believe that evil comes from within the person. Like, if there's problems in your life, it's because you're the problem, and you need to work at fixing that as well as you can. But you're going to screw up, okay? That's what these people believe. They believe that evil comes from within. So, what these folks will believe in regards to things like crime is you committed a crime. It's your problem. You know, if you're not educated, that's your problem. If you're on drugs, that's your problem. These people will approach everything as an individualistic solution. They want individual solutions to problems. So if you've got issues, if you've got problems, and you need to work on them, according to these folks, you need to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, and you need to like make life work for you, because that's your issue. All right? Those are individual solutions. And then finally, they tend to be libertarian in nature. So liberty is the root word here, liberty. And so libertarian is someone who generally favors liberty, freedom of the individual self, freedom from the group. They want individual solutions again. In that regard, then, they're going to favor an economic system of capitalism. So that's when you can buy, sell, and trade. There are private property rights. See, that's individual behavior. And those are the camps they're going to line up on. Okay. So in America today, you have two very different groups of people, and they're each espousing their own ideologies. There's definitely a lot of science out there, and political sciences can go into this. And if people want to make a case, if we stuck to things like logic and reason, you could probably argue these kind of things fairly effectively and come to some good conclusions. The problem is, right now, this is 2020, no one's really listening to each other, okay? These two camps have basically become like religions. And it's not unlike what you saw in the late Middle Ages, especially like in France and Germany, where you had different religious belief systems being espoused, and people believed that those other people were just inherently wrong, so much so that we had to go kill them. And it was really sad. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people were simply killed because of their religious beliefs. That's where our founding fathers were coming from when they came to America, to escape a lot of that. And so that's the very first thing in our Bill of Rights: freedom of religion. Okay? So unfortunately, what we've done, I think, is we've turned these kind of political issues into religious issues. And that's why the question of good or evil, which is probably more of a theological or religious question, has now become the deciding factor for political issues. And unfortunately, those things don't, work together very compatibly in any way. Once you feel that the other side isn't just wrong, but they're evil, then you're not listening to them anymore, and there's no real discussion to be had. So that's a problem we're going to have going forward in this class, because there's definitely data that you can make cases for one thing or another. You want to bring those out, and you want to come to some conclusions based upon some data, some historical evidence, and then logic, and those are the ways hopefully we can approach these things. All right? Thank you.